It's just after 7 in the morning. A quiet street in Reston, Virginia. Trimmed lawns, family homes, the kind of neighborhood where nothing ever happens. And then, a call to 911. A man's voice, breathless, panicked. He says there's been a break-in. He says his wife has been attacked. When the officers arrive, they find him kneeling on the bedroom floor. His hands are on his wife's neck. She isn't moving. But it's the second body that stops them cold. A man, a stranger, shot dead just feet away. And somewhere in that house, a 4-year-old girl is sitting alone in the basement, waiting for someone to come back for her. This is the story of how a perfect family home became a crime scene, and how it took 3 years and one unthinkable betrayal to find the truth. At first, it looked simple, tragic, but simple. A home invasion gone wrong, an intruder, a husband who came home, found his wife under attack, and did what any husband might wish he had the courage to do. He fought back. His name was Brendan Banfield, 40 years old, and he wasn't just any husband. He was a federal agent, an armed special agent for the IRS, trained to carry a weapon, trained to handle a crisis. His wife, Christine, was 37. They had been together for nearly 20 years, married for 12. They had a little girl. And the dead stranger? His name was Joseph Ryan, 39 years old, a man who, as far as anyone could tell, had no connection to this family at all. So the question hung over everything. Who was he? And what was he doing in the Banfield home that morning? Brendan's story was clear. He said he came home. He said he walked upstairs with his service weapon drawn. And he said he found Joseph Ryan attacking his wife, stabbing her. He said he announced himself. He said he was police. And he said he fired. Self-defense, a nightmare, a husband 1 minute too late to save the woman he loved. It's the kind of story that makes you ache for him. But detectives have a job to do. And the more they looked, the less the story held together. The first crack was small. There was a young woman living in the home, the family's au pair, 25 years old, from Brazil. Her name was Juliana Perez Magalhães. She was there that morning. She was supposed to be caring for the child. And when investigators began to pull at the threads of this household, the phones, the messages, the quiet movements of daily life, they found something they were not supposed to find. Brendan and the au pair were having an affair. Suddenly, the grieving husband looked very different. Here is what prosecutors say really happened. And I want you to sit with how cold this is. They say Brendan didn't want a messy divorce. He didn't want to lose half of everything. He wanted his wife gone, and he wanted the young woman in the spare room. So they say he built a plan. Not in a moment of rage, not in panic, a plan. The stranger, Joseph Ryan, wasn't an intruder at all. According to prosecutors, he was lured, drawn to that house through a fetish dating website by someone pretending to be Christine, promising him a private encounter. Joseph Ryan thought he was walking into a fantasy. He was walking into a trap. Think about that for a moment. A man, an innocent man, was chosen, catfished, manipulated into driving to a stranger's home, believing he'd been invited so that he could be murdered, and blamed for a murder he never committed. He was meant to be the fall guy, the intruder, the monster in the story Brendan would later tell the police. Joseph Ryan had a mother. She would later say she still can't bring herself to take down her Christmas tree because her son's ashes sit behind it. He was born 2 days before Christmas. It used to be the happiest time of year. Inside that house, prosecutors say, the plan unfolded with horrifying precision. While Brendan stabbed his wife, the au pair fired the gun that killed Joseph Ryan. And when Ryan didn't die right away, when she saw he was still moving, she said Brendan told her to shoot again. So she did. 2 people, 2 lives, ended in seconds. And down in the basement, a little girl, 4 years old, left completely alone while the adults she trusted turned the home above her into something out of a nightmare. Now, the truth is, never this clean from the inside. And Brendan Banfield never confessed. He took the stand in his own defense. He looked the jury in the eye, and he told them he was innocent. He said he was a hero who came home to horror. His lawyer fought hard, pointing out that Brendan's DNA was not found on the knife that killed Christine. The defense had another argument too, a strange one. They said the au pair couldn't be trusted because she had already been talking to television producers about a documentary. A murder, they suggested, was being turned into a product before the verdict was even in. It's a chilling thought, but the jury had to weigh it against everything else: the forensics, the blood, the digital trail, the affair, and the testimony of the one other person who was in that house. Because the au pair made a choice. Facing the rest of her life behind bars, Juliana Perez Magalhães took a deal. She pleaded guilty to manslaughter, and she agreed to do the one thing that would seal Brendan Banfield's fate. She would tell the jury everything. She testified that the plan was his, that he was the mastermind, that it was all designed to avoid a divorce. The lover became the witness. The partner in the plan became the voice that brought it all down. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The jury deliberated for 9 hours. 9 hours to decide whether to believe a federal agent or the woman who had loved him and then turned on him. On February 2nd, 2026, they returned guilty on every single count. 2 counts of aggravated murder, a firearm charge, and child endangerment for the little girl in the basement. Brendan Banfield now faces life in prison. In Virginia, for the most serious murder charge, it is mandatory. He will likely die behind bars. And the au pair? Prosecutors had promised to recommend she walk free, time already served, in exchange for her testimony. But the judge refused. Standing in that courtroom, the judge told her that she did not deserve to walk away, that she deserved a life of reflection, that it should weigh heavily on her soul. She was sentenced to 10 years, the maximum. She wept. She said she had lost herself in a relationship, that she had left her morals, her values, behind. But for Joseph Ryan's family, for Christine's family, no sentence fills the silence she left behind. So what do we take from this? 2 families shattered. A stranger murdered for the crime of believing he'd been wanted. A wife killed by the man who promised to protect her. A child who will one day be old enough to read exactly what happened in her home that morning. And a man who had every advantage: a career, a family, a future, who looked at all of it and decided it was worth less than getting what he wanted. The most disturbing crimes aren't always the loud ones. Sometimes they're the quiet ones, planned at the kitchen table, hidden behind a normal life, on a normal street, in a house just like any other. The kind of neighborhood where nothing ever happens, until one morning, it does.